are. Makeshift biryani. There's plenty here. It smells good. It smells like an Indian restaurant. And this was just the basic 1940s curry. Seriously. Okay then, babe, give that a try. And then is your gravy sauce. That's a balsamic vinegar reduction, and the last of the brain broth. Good morning and welcome to day 29 of this challenge. Now we're at the start of week 5 technically, but of course we're only doing 2 days, today and tomorrow. Now let's look at where we were last night before I took account of the dairy. Now on day 26 I'd used 10p worth of red lentils, which took us to 7p deficit. And then the following day there was 15p on sweet corn, so we're up to 22p in the red. Then yesterday I had the other half can of tomatoes, so that was 33p. We were 55p in deficit, and then 10p for flour and 11p for vegetable syrup, so we were up to 76p in the red. Now I weighed the cheese at the start of week 4 and we had about 50 grams left of that. So that was 28p because it was £2 for a 350 gram block of Collier's mature cheddar. So that took us to £1.04. And then we used 75 grams of butter at £1.99 per 250 gram pack, which was 60p. So we were at £1.64. So if you subtract £1.64 from £12.76, we get £11.12 for the week. Of course, £12.76 is our usual weekly budget. If we divide that by 7, we come to £1.59 per day. It's actually around £1.58.7 per day. So I'm rounding it up to £1.59. So for the 2 days, that's £3.17. Now, I soaked overnight 50 grams of organic dried Mexican beans. I want it for a rice dish tomorrow, so that was 30p. And we're down to £2.77. And I used 75p worth of rice, and I used 75p worth of brown rice. I used 125 grams of a 1 kilo bag that cost £5.99. So we're down to £2.02 expenditure. Now the 125 grams of brown rice I'm going to cook today, but we're not using all of it. I'm making a potato and carrot curry, so we don't need a huge amount of carbs. I might have got away with 100 grams, but I want us to have enough tomorrow. I have in mind a special meal for the last night. I'm planning on doing a rump steak for Dan, which I got from the co-op on a yellow ticket for £2.33. That would take us 31p in deficit, so we wouldn't really smash this challenge, but we would have done a really good job. And the idea was to have that, and with that some Mexican brown rice with beans in for me, because I need to have some kind of protein. And obviously Dan would have some of the beans and the rice with his steak. And we've got a couple of carrots. So that's where we are. If we don't spend another penny, we have gone over by 31 pence. I will put it down whether he wants another alternative, but I've got some beef broth left. He took some to work today, mixed in with some of the carrot soup that I made last night in his soup flask, and that will need using. So it's his call really, and I'll ask him when he gets home what he would like. But it was certainly my idea to do him a nice steak to celebrate the end of this challenge. And to be honest, I don't think that 31 pence in the red is a bad finish in the current climate. I'm off to my Tai Chi lesson soon. I'm having carrot soup with a slice of wholemeal bread spread with a bit of peanut butter for my late lunch today. And I won't be having anything in between meals apart from maybe a small piece of that Cartwright and Butler cake. So it looks like we may have not quite smashed it, but finished reasonably okay with a 31 pence deficit. But let's see what tonight and tomorrow brings. Look folks, this is dinner on our penultimate night of the food challenge. I've made this yummy veggie biryani. Doesn't that look good? I've just used my wartime curry base. It's carrot and potato curry with some yummy turmeric brown basmati rice and some spices. Hopefully Dan will love it. We've got a bit of mango chutney left to go with it. Wow. Well, here we are. Makeshift biryani. There's plenty here. It smells good. It smells like an Indian restaurant. And this was just the basic 1940s curry. Seriously. Okay then babe, give that a try.
I wonder, it looks very nice. Let's give it a go. This looks very nice. Yumbo.
I hope that'll live up to expectations.
It's really nice.
There's a bit of mango chutney, or this kimchi and beetroot, whatever you like.
Mango chutney. It's nearly missed the plate then.
Enjoy it. It certainly smells good. It smells quite authentic.
Yeah.
It's surprising what you can do with a 1940s curry. This takes it to a whole new level. And it's cheap. Well, and so endeth day 29 of the challenge. Tomorrow is the last day, and Dan's definitely having the steak. That's what he wants, so that's what he'll get. And we've made a 31 pence deficit across the whole of the 4 and a bit weeks. So I think that's really good. That is dependent on us not having any other additional expenses that we haven't bargained for. I'm quite happy with that, and I'm certainly happy with this curry. So I'm going to tuck him now, and I'll see you tomorrow. Well, welcome to day 30. This is the last day of the challenge. Yay! Exciting. And to celebrate this and our frugality and lack of ingredients in the house, can't wait to go shopping, food shopping, I'm going to do eggy bread. I'm going to be generous. We're using the 2 eggs from our allowance. Exciting. Whip the eggs up with the fork. Make sure the egg white has become as incorporated as it possibly can do, because egg white can be a bit odd and doesn't always want to mix through very easily. Nice deep yellow yolks. Chickens have been well fed. I'm in one of those moods today. I'm a moody bleeder. Some days I don't want to talk or even face anybody. Other days I'm full of the joys of spring. I think I'm slightly manic today because it is the end of the challenge and I'm elated. You know, when I think about it, how on earth did people get through 4 or 5 years of wartime rationing and then rationing for another 7 or 8 years? Incredible. So I've got 2 slices of bread left. There's a slice of this, which is gorgeous. That's the wholemeal bread that we get unsliced from the food bank and community shop. It's really fresh. So we're going to share half of that each. And there's also the crust of the Warburton's toasty. So we'll share half of that as well. Otherwise, one of us is going to be satisfied, I'm looking at him, and the other one is going to have a partially empty belly still. And believe me, when I'm hungry, I'm not pleasant to be with. I've done the Susie Salt and Percy Pepper. Sorry, Ainsley, bad impression, but it's the best I can do. Whack the gas on. Nice glug of olive oil. That sounds very Jamie Oliver. I was watching his channel late last night, actually. I like Jamie. I don't put too much oil in, because it does have calories, but you want enough to coat the pan. Give this a swirl round. There we go. And then I'll do the other slice. Any leftover egg can just get chopped in at the end. You should just about get both of them in. There we go. Swirling done on one side. What I really like about eggy bread or French toast, call it what you like, it tends to just take care of itself. And you just have to turn it periodically. And then before you know it, it's ready. Look at that. Jumbo. Okay. I'll just check the underside. That's ready. I think we're ready to plate up. If you've got asbestos fingers, this is easy. If you haven't, it isn't. See how nice and soft it is? All that lovely egg mixture has gone right into the toast. Have you noticed it's got a smiley face? Do you see there's a face? 2 eyes, a nose and a mouth. than me. So give that a try.
Look at the brown first. Messy eater. That's really nice.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that will set you up for the morning.
Yeah, that's to keep us going.
We've got lots of things to do. You've got soup for lunch.
Lovely.
We're going to see if we can get some bread from the community shop. Well, I can hardly believe that this is the last day of our social experiment. It does feel good though. It feels good to be ending it on time. We haven't ducked out. We've seen it through to its completion. We're not quitters, even though at times it's been tough. And overall, I think it's been an achievement. And in that respect too, that is another reason I'm glad to be here on day 30, that we actually have achieved it from beginning to end. I'm going to finish this now because we're going to go and have a look in the community shop for some bread and maybe 1 or 2 other freebies. I'll catch you later.
This is nice soup.
Well, welcome to the evening of day 30, which is the final day, of course. And I promised Dan this steak to celebrate. We've had a busy day doing jobs around the house and errands. This I bought after Christmas from the co-op. It's on an orange ticket. It had been £4.65 and it's down to £2.33. Therefore, this is why we have a 31 pence deficit overall. But I think a 31 pence deficit over the entire 4.25 weeks is incredible. I'm also doing a Mexican bean rice dish. I've got some bone broth left. I'll make Dan a nice sauce or gravy out of that. I've got a couple of carrots. So we're going to have a delicious meal. I think Dan has certainly earned it. Bless him, he's had to put up with all my concoctions and he has been busy, so he needs a good steak meal inside him. I've washed and patted dry the steak and I'm seasoning it. I've got half a pat of sumac butter left in the freezer, so I'm going to cook it in that. Anyway, you want to season both sides of the steak. Right, help yourself, Dan. This steak, unfortunately, went very slightly over, just that extra minute. It's not a thick cut steak, but it's probably medium well. It's not too bad though, it's quite juicy and it's tender. And then there's some Mexican rice. And then there's your gravy sauce. That's a balsamic vinegar reduction and the last of the bone broth. So enjoy it.
We do. Put some of the gravy on it.
Tuck in.
We do.
I haven't used any corn flour or other thickener. Let me know how your steak is. I cooked it in the last half pat of sumac butter.
The rice is nice.
Is it?
It's gorgeous.
Is it spicy? Good.
Gently spicy.
Oh, that's nice.
The steak is really nice.
Is it tender and juicy? Oh, well, happy end of experiment, babe.
Yes. I've been looking forward to this for a month.
Bon appetit. And you've got your Christmas beer as well. Well, so end of day 30, the last day of this food challenge to live on £20 a week for food for the whole of January. The last 2 carrots, rice and beans, yum. Dan's enjoying his steak. Happy days. We'll see you tomorrow to talk about how everything went and can it be done. Let's talk about that tomorrow. See you then. Well, hello and welcome. We have recently finished the £20 January food challenge. It finished last night. I think we can safely say it was an interesting exercise, reasonably successful, but let's have a roundup and just talk about everything in a bit more detail.
Yes.
It feels weird actually not rationing today,
Yes, it's good.
doesn't it?
Yes.
We went to the pub for a drink and we were hoping to do this video there, but it was absolutely manic, wasn't
We went
it?
to 2 pubs.
The second pub we just walked out of. But the weather is just dreadful, absolutely dreadful. I'm aching as well today because it's so damp. So I'm going to ask a few questions of ourselves. I've made some notes. So how did we do in general?
I think we did very well.
I think we did do well. I mean, we were only 31 pence in deficit. And I think that's quite remarkable given the cost of everything. I think by week 4, I'd kind of lost the will to live, to be honest. I could have probably not bought the yoghurt. We had a bit of, I suppose, bad luck in that I'd spent 44 pence on carrots and then lo and behold, we got loads in a Too Good To Go. It's a bit of a lottery what you actually receive. So from that respect, I could have probably made 1 or 2 savings and come within budget. But you know, I usually have yogurts every day and I've not had yogurt for a 3-week period. So I'm going to buy it because I need yogurt. We're both into our fermented produce, aren't we?
Yeah.
Whether that's kimchi or pickles or kefir or yogurt, we like our ferments. It's good for gut health as well. The microbiome, if you like, it helps you with your immune system. And in actual fact, you have come down with a cold, haven't you?
Yeah.
And that's probably as a result of the rationing. So let's think about what the purpose of this social experiment was, because it is a social experiment. Because of the way things are in the world and this constant rhetoric about the risk of losing power, of not having access to food. The farmers have been on blockade for about 13-14 weeks now. And we've noticed in some of the local shops, haven't we, that there's not much stock in certain areas. Yeah, we did. Yeah, the empty shelves. And being something of a prepper anyway, I think this is one of the benefits of being neurodivergent, actually. This need to have everything regimented sometimes. So I've always been into prepping and making sure we've got everything in place, everything in order. Of course, I'm a candle maker, so we've got candles as well. So I think I've always had that ethos. But increasingly over the last few years, I've felt the need to do more on emergency prep. And certainly during the Second World War, it was essential to be well prepared because rations were lean. But it was the war that led everything. There were shortages because of the war. And yes, all wars are political, but in other respects, you know, they didn't have the kind of government that we have now, for example, not trying to get too political. There's challenges that we have now that we didn't have back then. But of course, back then they had a huge challenge from a certain individual who was the leader of Germany. So you had other kinds of challenges, but of course there were terrific shortages during the Second World War, and it went on and on. It wasn't just 5 years of rationing. Rationing didn't end until 1954. Sugar eventually in the UK came off rationing in 1953, but meat came off in 1954. And you just didn't have the range of things that you have now. I mean, if you had a farmyard, for example, or a homestead or chickens, you were expected to give some of your eggs or majority of it to the war effort, and you wouldn't have eggs in your particular ration because you had access to the chickens. Life, of course, was quite different in the countryside to how it was in the city, and people sent the kids away to the countryside for evacuation for safety as well, because of course the kids were going to be the next generation. And things that we take for granted now, bananas, pineapple, oranges, were very hard come by during the Second World War, along with a huge number of other foodstuffs. And although sausages weren't on ration, they were often in very short supply. There was long queues for sausages, and by the time you got your turn, chances are there were no sausages left. People were eating things like whale meat in tins or snook, which didn't really taste very nice. In addition to rationing, your weekly rations, you could every month maybe gather enough points for, say, 8 pounds of lentils or maybe a tin of spam. So things were very difficult. One of the few things that was in good supply was potatoes. People were encouraged to eat a pound of potatoes each every day because there wasn't much else and food was very beige. It was very difficult though, maybe living off 4 ounces of bacon and 4 ounces of meat per person. If there was more of you in the household, then of course there would be a bigger ration, but that would be to feed the whole household. But inevitably there would be a little more to play with. And nearly everybody was digging for victory as well. So the purpose of this experiment has been to show the importance of emergency prep in the possible, maybe likely event that things are going to go pear-shaped in the next few months, and how to live and keep kith and kin together and your body working on very little money by using your limited allowance and falling back on store cupboard essentials and things in the fridge and the freezer. Of course, we made good use of some of the items we'd had given to us for Christmas, like a food hamper and some beer to have the odd glass of wine or glass of beer. And £20 in the current climate is an extremely tight budget. There was people who were saying to me, well, you should have at least added another £5 on because prices in the shops have gone up by a third. But I wanted to show that it could be done, or just about. But we've had to be very strict with ourselves. So how did we find it, Dan? What were the positives? What did you...
Well, I lost some weight.
Yeah, you did. Yes, you lost 4 pounds, didn't you? So he's back under 17 stone again, which is brilliant news. Any other positives?
I think there are. What did you say the positives were?
Well, I've lost dimension, although I do Tai Chi as well, but I've lost dimension. I've probably lost about an inch off everywhere. But we had enough to eat, just about. I think in comparison to the one we did last year, we did really well.
Yeah.
Because last year you had enough to eat, but I didn't have enough to eat.
Yeah.
Was apart from a couple of times when I've been a bit peckish, I've been pretty much okay.
Oh.
And we haven't really eaten in between meals
No.
either. Don't let me keep you up. We didn't really eat in between meals,
No,
did
we
we?
didn't. No, we were good.
So we had enough to satisfy our hunger most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
Also, we made good use of the community food bank and shop.
Yeah.
And we've been able to have things like free bananas because they were overripe, and free bread.
Yeah.
That all the bread is free. We had some free sandwiches one time, and often they'll give you extra carrots or onions for no extra money, or for very little money, which is brilliant. I mean, there are a lot of people using the food bank in particular. So we went to the food bank yesterday for some bread, and the lady was saying that the fridges were full of meat on Friday, but it had all been cleared out because hardly anybody has any money. Like, it doesn't matter whether they've got a job or not. That was the whole reason why they decided to end subscriptions or vouchers or tokens, because they realised that everybody in Thanet is having to watch the pennies. Thanet is one of the most underprivileged communities in the UK. Yes, you've got people who have some money, might work in London or have very good jobs, but you've got over 12% of the youth who are unemployed, which is one of the highest rates in the UK. And even a couple of years ago, the percentage of people below the poverty line was 17%, which is practically the highest in the UK, even more so than Northumberland. That speaks volumes. Well, we are an island as well, a silted up island, so they say, but we're only silted up because the water gets pumped out, and we've got a seawall. If the seawall failed and the water wasn't pumped out, we'd be an island again. So what were the disadvantages? What did you find particularly difficult?
I think it was counting the pennies and we can't have this because it's going to take us over the budget. Yeah.
There's been things in the freezer that we've not been able to use because we wouldn't be able to budget for it.
Yeah.
Just even the basics, even a few onions are expensive. It's frightening, the cost. When we were in the little Tesco this afternoon, we looked at the prices and they've risen sometimes by £1. Yeah. It's not just 10 pence or 20 pence, but it's 50 pence or £1. which is quite worrying. I found all the food prep quite hard work. I've got new music coming, but I haven't been able to get into the headspace because of all the food prep and the videoing. In the end, I ended up with video fatigue, and as you'll see in week 4 when the video gets published, that it is a shorter video than the others. Week 2 was the longest, that was just over 2 hours, but week 3, 1 hour 34, 35, and week 4 is shorter. Quite a bit shorter. I don't know how long yet. I've edited it, but I just need to finish the job now and put it all together. I also found that having a less varied diet got me down, because I'm used to having a very varied diet. Well, I haven't done much snacking. I'm used to having the odd snack during the day, and I haven't had those. And perhaps I will be better without. But I did find having a less varied diet wasn't particularly to my liking. Too many potatoes, too much bread for my liking. It's been very hard to find things in the shops though recently, like sweet potatoes. We found some in the farm shop, but they were massive and not cheap. But a lot of sweet potatoes seem to have vanished from supermarket shelves. Again, it's probably part of this farmers blockade that's going on. Also, we've got some depletion now of the store cupboard, because we have used quite a few things. Even a few things from the freezer, of course. So we need to replace that. And the prices have gone up in the last few weeks, so we're going to have to pay more for those items as well, undoubtedly. At least in some circumstances. It was pricing everything up as well, budgeting everything out to the exact penny. It was hard work. It's been hard work. So what about health benefits? Apart from losing a bit of weight, how do you feel in general?
Probably not as bloated as I feel when I'm...
Yeah. Yeah. I've found that latterly all the potatoes has wreaked havoc with my inflammatory problems, you know. It's wreaked havoc with the joints, because I have a at least partially anti-inflammatory diet. I can't give potatoes up completely, but usually I'll eat sweet potatoes or other things. It just, like fish for example, salmon, sea trout, wild salmon, not farm salmon, mackerel, herring, and we just haven't had anything in the budget for that sort of thing, apart from 1 tin of mackerel during the challenge earlier on. So I'm suffering a bit as a result. So I've missed that in particular, the varied diet and the emphasis on the protein and vegetables. So was £20 a week sufficient? Well, barely. And doesn't it make you wonder how people who are living close to that breadline manage to feed themselves and their families?
With a lot of difficulty.
Yeah. So, you know, of course, the medical profession always going on about people who are maybe heavier than they ought to be. Well, a lot of those people might be underprivileged as well, not always, but quite often, having a poor diet. But is it any wonder? Sometimes they don't have the time to prep, especially if they've got several kids. They can't spend hours prepping necessarily, or having to go to work to make ends meet, and then worn out at the end of the day. That's difficult for prepping. Maybe they haven't got the cooking facilities at home for the prepping as well, or the know-how. Some people struggle with cookery, and they don't really know the way around the kitchen very well. I don't think subjects like home economics are taught very much these days in schools. Certainly knife skills are not. I mean, when I was a kid, we were encouraged to use knives, learn how to use the different equipment in the kitchen and budgeting. But when my cousin's son was at school, everything had to be ready chopped. He wasn't able to use any knives or anything. I don't even think they do it anymore in schools, home economics. I think it's a thing of the past.
Yeah, they probably thought of some sort of silly reason why they can't do it.
There's a lack of life skills. I think life skills is one of the most important things that kids could learn at school. You know, budgeting, how to cook, how to make ends meet, and prioritising budgets, money. And of course, we've got the demographics as well, and as the social status. It's a complex thing. It's like if you have a weight loss jab, that's not getting to the root of what causes the weight gain. You know, is it because a person's not exercising? Is it something genetic? Or is it because they just haven't got the money and they're eating the wrong things? There's nothing that I know of anyway, there's nothing taught in schools about nutrition. And nutrition and self-sufficiency is something I'm really into. It's one of my specialist subjects, folks. I don't know everything, but I'm a bit of a geek about things like nutrition. So let's talk about budgeting for the future. We talked about our lifestyle over the last few weeks, and I think we both agreed, didn't we, that we would like to still carry on some kind of a budget.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And we've certainly found it easier buying things every week instead of every fortnight.
Yeah.
Or every month.
Yes.
We use local shops a lot: butchers, bakers, greengrocers, farm shops, farmers markets. A few things come from the supermarket, but not huge amounts. And we enjoyed in the Too Good To Go. We quite enjoyed unwrapping the box, even if it was maybe 20 lettuces.
Yeah. We've had them before, and it's been like a whole load of bread.
Yeah, 7 loaves.
No fishes.
But that time it all, or most of it, went in the food bank, didn't it?
Yes.
So somebody would have benefited from it. We weren't able to use it all. 2 people with 7 loaves, it wasn't going to happen. So it went to the food bank. And I'm sure gratefully received it was too. So the plan is maybe to spend between £30 and £35 a week on food. We think we can manage quite comfortably or relatively easily on 30 to 35 without me being stuck in the kitchen all the time.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
I think so.
So that's what we're planning to do. Now the task begins though to try and repopulate the larder and the freezer. We don't like being without things, do we? It's important to have something to fall back on. But that's the plan anyway, to not spend more than maybe 35 max.
Yeah.
We haven't had any meals out really, apart from a lunch at the cat cafe. We haven't really eaten out, have we? We thought about it and then changed our minds, didn't we? We've been really good on the challenge. And there was times when we both felt like giving up. Which week did you find it more tempting to give up?
I think the 3rd week.
Yeah, at the end of week 2.
Yeah.
It was really difficult. We did actually have a conversation. Shall we continue or shall we give up?
We decided to stick with it.
Yeah, we did. I'm not a quitter. I think even if you'd wanted to give up, I think I would have carried on. But there's no way we would be able to enjoy our raw milk products, which are really good for my health and well-being, if we allowed ourselves just £20 a week. We've got our raw milk products coming this week, haven't we?
Yeah.
I just paid for it today. It's the 1st of February, and we get an order every couple of months from Fen Farm Dairy. We don't buy loads because it's not cheap, but it freezes pretty well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I've got my raw organic ghee. We've got 5 litres of milk and some raw butter. And that's as far as it goes. Occasionally we'll change it out a little bit and maybe have a guest cheese or something like that, or some really nice raw yoghurt or something. But we do allow ourselves a strict budget, or rather I do because I pay for it. We do allow ourselves a strict budget and don't go over a certain amount. So I think we'll continue using the food bank and the Too Good to Go.
Yeah.
And I'll just go to the butcher each week and or the fishmonger, depending on what we need. And obviously, if we don't spend much one week, we might be able to get a Riverford organic food veg box, because we're not going to need stuff every week, a huge amount of things.
No.
We eat lots of vegetables and fruits and salad in this house, don't we?
Yes, we do.
That's the bulk of our diet, really. And my lentils and beans and chickpeas.
Yeah.
Poor Dan's had rather too many of them, probably.
So it's petrol. Have a lighter in the car.
You see, they don't bother me because I'm so used to eating them. They don't have that effect on me. My problem is things like meat and stuff. It doesn't agree with me. And I'm not all that keen anyway, fortunately. I have missed having a piece of salmon, I must admit. I hope you enjoyed your steak last night.
It was lovely, I really did enjoy it.
I slightly overcooked it, but it wasn't well done. It was
No, it's
medium
fine.
to well done. But I think 30 seconds instead of a minute would have worked out better. But that's how quickly it can turn, folks. I was too busy stirring my beans to notice. So, would we do it again? Will we do it next year, or are we going to do another challenge next year?
We could do it again next year.
We could do it again, but I think we'd have a bigger budget.
Maybe like 25 instead of 20.
Yeah, maybe we could manage. And of course there's the other method where you just eat for the entire month what's in your fridge and freezer and larder without buying anything extra, which Hannah at the Real Vintage Dolls House has been doing. She's had a no by January, and that might be quite a interesting thing to do for a change, because we've done a food challenge for a couple of years now. So that's it, folks. Look, do let us have your thoughts. How do you think we did? I'm quite happy, even though we finished 31 pence in the red. Well, I think we did well, didn't we?
It's only 31 pence, it's not that much.
Yeah, it's not much. No, nothing near Rachel Reeves. And I think if we'd done another week, we'd have been able to absorb that. We would have managed.
Yeah.
But it might have been a very hard up week, but there was no way that I was going to be beaten. And I don't think there's any way I would have wanted to do an extra few days either. Well, I would have done if I'd had to, but it just makes me wonder how people managed during the war for all those years on very little. Must have been difficult.
Yeah.
Must have got you goat when you think about it.
I can imagine.
I can remember having a conversation with my late stepmom about the Second World War, because she was a schoolgirl during the Second World War, and she had nothing good to say about it whatsoever, did she? And she never understood my fascination with the 1940s and rationing, because she said it was terrible. the food got her down, and just everything about it. She didn't like any of it. Anyway, I do appreciate you watching to the end. If you have done so, please give this a like to help it get into the algorithm. I'd really appreciate it. It's been a work of art, I suppose, in some ways, and a real labour of love and perseverance and dedication and sacrifice. But that's all worth it as long as I get some likes and it gets out to more people. And please do share and subscribe. And you know, the usual thing about the notification bell, because if you don't do all these things, you just fly under the radar. And thanks so much for joining us on this 4 and a bit week journey, and we'll see you again sometime soon for something a little bit lighter and certainly a lot shorter. So bye for now.
Bye.